युहन्तः प्रविश्यम् अवाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान् नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम् यं गुरुं हि स्वयं सत्यः प्रज्ञाभक्तिविनीतयः विहिक्तिश्चातुगता नित्यं तं गुरुं प्रणमाम्यहम् सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. 14. Okay, start.
प्रभुत्वं
दीनानां खलु परमबन्धुः पशुपते प्रमुख्योऽहं तेषाम् अविहिमुतबन्धुत्वमनयोः त्वयि रक्षन्तव्याः शिवमदपराधाश्च सकलाः प्रयत्नात् कर्तव्यम् मदवनमियं बन्धुसरणिः उपेक्षा नो चेत् किं न हरसि भवत्यान विमुखां दुराशा भूयिष्ठां विधिरिविमशक्तो यदि भवान् शिरस्तद्वैधात्रं न खलु सुवृत्तं पशुपते कथं वा निर्यत्नं करनखमुखेनैव ललितम् विरिञ्चिर्दीर्घायुः भवतु भवता तत्परशिरः चतुष्कं संरक्ष्यम् लिखितवान् विचारः को वा मां विशदकृपया पाति शिवते कटाक्षव्यापारः स्वयमपि च दीनावनपरः फलाद्वा पुण्यानां
मयि करुणया त्वयि विधो
प्रसन्नेऽपि स्वामिन् भवदमलपादाब्जयुगलम् कथं पश्येयं मां स्थगयति नमः सम्भ्रमजुषां निलिम्बानां श्रेणिः निजकनकमाणिक्यमकुटैः त्वमेको लोकानां परमफलदो दिव्यपदवीं वहन्तस्त्वन्मूलां पुनरपि भजन्ते हरिमुखाः कियद्वा दाक्षिण्यं तव शिवमदाशा च कियती कदा वा मद्रक्षां वहसि करुणापूरितदृशा. We are done up to this 18. Okay, let us read 19th verse. दुराशा भूयिष्ठे
दुराशा भूयिष्ठे
दुराशा भूयिष्ठे दुरधिपगृहद्वारघटके 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 दुरन्ते संसारे दुरन्ते संसारे दुरन्ते संसारे दुरितनिलये दुःखजनके दुरितनिलये दुःखजनके Duritanilaye Dukkhajanake Madayasam Kim Madayasam Kim Madayasam Kim Navyapanayasi 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 Kasyopakritaye 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 Vadeyam Pritischet Vadeyam Pritischet Vadeyam Pritischet Tava Shiva Kritarthah Khalu Vayam Tava Shiva Kritarthah Khalu Vayam Tava Shiva Kritarthah Khalu Vayam. So here in this verse, the first half, you see there are only 6 words. Of these 6 words, 5 of them start with Du. Durasha bhuyishthe Durathipagrihadvara khatake durante samsare duritanilaye dukkhajanake. A beautiful poetic composition. All these 5 words which start with Du, they are qualifiers to the word samsara. Samsare is qualified by these 5 words. The first description is Durasha bhuyishthe. But we need to first of all understand the word samsara quite clearly. Samsara comes from Sri Dhatu. So sam is upasarga. So samsarati asmat is samsara. Samsarati asmat is samsara. This asmat can be taken as apadana or even hetu. If you take as apadana, then apadana means from which it gets. Okay. If you take as apadana, this can be taken as world, Vishwa, because you keep moving from one world to the other world. Okay. You slip from one world and then fall. In fact, Ishtapurtam manyamana vrishtham nanyachheyo vedayante pramudhaha Nakasya prishthete sukrutenu bhutva imam lokam heenataram va vishanti. See, we have a usage in Mundakopanishad. So, imam lokam heenataram va vishanti means, so they move from one world to the other world. So, this is very clearly stated. Nakasya prishthe. So, on the surface of Swarga, having spent some time. So, they either slip into this world or slip into some other world which is much lower. Anyway, so all of them can be referred to by the word samsara. Essentially means Vishwaloka. Okay? So, samsarati keeps moving from one to the other. This is one meaning. So, if you take as apada. If you take as hetu, so hetu also we use Panchami. Samsarati asmat. Asmat means because of this. So because of this if you take, so it may have to refer to the Deharambhaka Adrishta. Understand? So the Adrishta which gives rise to a particular form of Sharira. Asmat samsarati. So samsarati here means, so he keeps experiencing sukha dukkha. So he keeps experiencing sukha dukkha. So samsarati asmat. So anyway, the word samsara can refer to the thing that which gives rise to this kind of a sharira, or the place where you dwell with a particular sharira. Now here in this verse, so there are several qualifiers which have been used to describe samsara. How is this samsara? The first one that he uses is durasha bhuishthe samsare. So the other day we had a similar expression, durasha. So then I was telling you, this durasha can mean dushpura asha durasha. So that which is very difficult to fulfill. Okay, dushpura asha durasha. So this fellow has certain desires, certain hopes that this may happen, that may happen, and it is unending, and therefore dushpura. So durasha bhuyishthe. So bhuyishtha also we saw, that which is greatly abundant. Okay. So durasha bhuyishthe. So the samsara is durasha bhuyishtha. Samsara is durasha bhuyishtha. You can take the word samsara in both these senses, and these descriptions will nicely fit. Okay. So this world, if you just take, so durasha bhuyishtha. Okay. So unlimited desires people have. Okay. Durasha bhuyishthe. Right? So if you want to earn more, so you move from here to elsewhere. There you move from there to elsewhere. You move from there to elsewhere, and so on and so forth. It just keeps you engaging all the time. Okay. Durasha bhuyishthe samsare. Whereas even in highly educated circuits, right, we find this durasha bhuyishtha. Just now, a few minutes back, one faculty called me. Everyone wanted to boycott me. So because I asked this question also, she was just saying, so this is a samsara. So she has a dukkha. See, she was giving some lecture. So everyone in the department boycotted me. So it was stated by him. So just because, you question something, so then people become unhappy. So durasha bhuishtha. See, dushta asha is with them. So when you question them, so you become a dushta purusha. So durasha bhuishthe samsare. Then duradhipa grihadvara ghatake. This is another interesting description. Duradhipa grihadvara ghatake. Duradhipanam grihadvara. First you have to understand that. Grihadvara means entry. The entry to the house of Duradhipa. So Duradhipanam grihadvaram. Tasmin yenam ghatayati. Tena yenam ghatayati. Ghatayati means it sort of binds you, associates you. Okay. So Duradhipa grihadvara ghatake is a phrase which means that which essentially ties you to the doorway of people who are unworthy of even visiting. Okay, they may be possessing some position, they may be having some power with them, but they are unworthy of even visiting. Okay. But what drives you over there? Durasha bhuishthatvam. There are so many fellows, right? So they want to just tag to the people in power. Okay? So you want to build some empire for yourself. So and therefore you don't mind doing all kinds of slavish things, silly things, stupid things, stultified things. Okay? So durasha bhuishthe duratipagrahadvara ghatake. That is what this samsara does. Okay? Duratipagrahadvara ghatake. In fact, there is a very beautiful verse in Vairagya Shataka, which is worth knowing. I am just reminded of that. This Durathipa, so I never want such association. So that is what he says, very beautiful. So you read this, you repeat, I tell you. Punyair moola phalaihi.
Punyair moola phalaihi.
Punyair moola phalaihi. Tatha pranayinim. Tatha pranayinim. Tatha pranayinim. Vrittim kurushvadhuna. Vrittim kurushvadhuna. Vrittim kurushvadhuna. Bhushayyam navapallavaihi. Bhushayyam navapallavaihi. Bhushayyam navapallavaihi. Akripaniruttisthayavo vanam. Akripaniruttisthayavo vanam. Akripaniruttisthayavo vanam. Kshudranam avivekamudhamanasam. Kshudranam avivekamudhamanasam. Kshudranam avivekamudhamanasam. Yatreshvaranam sada. Yatreshvaranam sada. Yatreshvaranam sada. Vittavyadhi. 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 Vikara vihvalagiram. Vikara vihvalagiram. Vikara vihvalagiram. Namapi na shruyate. Namapi na shruyate. Namapi na shruyate. This Durathipa is what reminded me of this verse which I had read long back. In the second half, it is so beautifully described why he wants to call Durathipa and what it means to understand by the word Durathipa. He says, Kshudranam aviveka mudha manasam yatreshvaranam sada vittavyadhi vikara vihvalagiram namapi nashruyate. It is a very beautiful description and a powerful description of Bhartrihari. He says, let us decide. So there are two friends who are there. Both of them had to earn their living by approaching some people. So at some point they got so disgusted, okay, with the treatment that they met with. And therefore, in the first half, they say, Punyir moola phalaihi. Moola phalaihi means, moola means root, phala means fruit. Moola is root, phala is fruit. So this is available freely in the forest. Okay. Punyir moola phalaihi. Tatha pranayinim vrittim kurushvadhuna. Vrittim kurushva, he says the other fellow. So let us instantly decide, okay, that we will go and live with what is available freely, okay, in the forest. Okay. Punyir moola phalaihi. Pranayinim tatha pranayinim vrittim. That kind of a life. Okay. So let us decide to lead. So where will you sleep? Bhushayyam nama Navapallavairakavranaihi. You don't need to purchase a foam with 12 inches thickness. So you don't need all that. So Bhushayam Navapallavi, the leaves are available. So over the leaves you can spread your towel and then nicely sleep. Navapallavirakripanaihi Uttishthana. So immediately get up, let us go. Okay. Uttishtayavo vanam. Why did they decide? So that is indicated in the second half. Okay. Kshudranam Aviveka Mudha Manasam. So Kshudranam Aviveka Mudha Manasam. So Aviveka Mudha Manasam, he says, see, their thoughts are stultified by indiscretion. So silly things will be there. In fact, somebody was telling me just a couple of days ago that there is this fellow sets a target, you have to get me some 500 crores. When I went to Chennai, so Kshudranam Aviveka Mudha Manasam. This is the politician, Adhipa, that's why I am saying. Kshudranam Aviveka Mudha Manasam Yatreshwaranam. See, Ishvara. So he enjoys the position and power. Yatreshwaranam. So the idea here is, let us go to that place where this fellow's name itself will not be heard by us. Nama api nashruyate. Okay? I do not want to hear the name of this fellow. Okay. Vitta Vyadhi. So the Vyadhi in the form of Vitta, okay, has grabbed them. Vitta Vyadhi. And because of that, so there is a beautiful description here. Vikara Vihvalagiram. See. So the speech has become sort of delirious. Okay. So Vittavyadhi Vikara Vihvalagira. Vihvala Gihi. So they will not be able to speak. So speak words which will make some sense to you is one aspect. So which will be contradictory to each other and which will not even come out properly. Vittavyadhi Vikara Vihvalagiram Namapi Nashruyate. So you Durasha Bhuishthe Duradhipagrahadvara Ghatake. So if you are in samsara, so then you may have to face these fellows. So therefore he said, let us decide once and for all that we will not only not meet them, we will not even hear their names. Okay? So this is another kind of a beautiful verse which describes what Acharya has in his mind. Duradhipagrahadvara. Duradhipagrahadvara Ghatake Durante. I have seen some people. So this kind of a decision is taken by fairly large number of people a year. I have myself met some 5-6, at least a dozen people like this. So they decide. Okay. So at some stage, after earning for 10-15 years, in the case of some people, or 15-20 years in the case of some other people, I do not want to meet any of these fellows. So with whatever I have, I'll be happy. So Duradhipagrahadvara Ghatake Durante Samsare. And this samsara, so Durasha Bhuishtatvam, Duradhipagrahadvara Ghatakatvam. So these things are unending. Okay, Durante Samsare Duritanilaye. Duritam, what is Duritam? Papam. Okay, Durita Nilaya. So it is Mama Patha Samastha Durita Kshayadvara. Every day we make this sankalpa. Okay, Durita Kshayadvara. Durita Kshaya is the most important thing. Okay. But the samsara happens to be Durita Nilaya. Okay. So So it is the locus of Durita. Okay? Durita Nilai. In fact, there is a nice usage. Say, today morning we were seeing this verse. In Shakuntala, he says, Ami Vedim Paritah. You repeat. Ami Vedim Paritaha.
Ami Vedim Paritaha.
Ami Vedim Paritaha. Kliptadhishnya. 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 Ami Vedim Paritah. Kliptadhishnya. Samidvantaha. 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 Pranta Santirna Darbhaha. Pranta Santirna Darbhaha. Pranta Santirna Darbhaha. Apaghananto Duritam Havyagandhaihi. Apaghananto Duritam Havyagandhaihi. Apaghananto Duritam Havyagandhaihi. Vaitanaastvam vanhayah pavayantu. Vaitanaastvam vanhayah pavayantu. Vaitanaastvam vanhayah pavayantu. It's a very nice verse. Why I am saying is, this samsara is described as Durita Nilaya, but we have to escape from Durita. How is it possible? So by engaging in certain things, and here while Shakuntala is about to leave, as Kashyapa says, Vaitanaha Vanhayaha means the sacrificial fires. See, Ami Vedim Paritaha Kliptadhishnyaha. I don't know how many of you have had the occasion to see this shala where this oblations are made on a day-to-day basis. The Agnihotra shala. So they will have one separate room where there will be a kind of a altar which is built there. So you will have 3 places. Okay. One is for Garhapatyagni, the other is for Dakshinagni, the third is for Ahavaniyagni. In between something will be there, somewhat in a rectangular trapezium shape. So Ami Vedim Paritaha Kliptadhishnyaha. So this the sage Kashyapa is blessing Shakuntala. So he prays to them. Ami Vedim Paritah Kliptadhishnyaha. Kliptadhishnyaha means those who have their positions well accorded. Okay. So Kliptadhishnyaha, this fire is here, this fire is here, this fire is here. They will be surrounding the Vedi. And Samidvantaha. Samit is something by which the fire is kept alive. Pranta Santirna Darbhaha. So around the Vedi, darbhas will be spread. Samidvantaha Pranta Santirna Darbhaha. Apaghananto Duritam Havyagandhaihi. So how is the Durita gone? He says, Apaghanantaha Duritam Havyagandhaihi. Havyagandhaihi means through the gandha that is generated by the oblation. Havyagandhaihi. Havyaihi janito gandhaha havyagandhaha. Okay. So there is a phrase called havya, there is a phrase called kavya. So anyway, havya is something which is done towards devatas. Devatas is something, the forces which we have been blessed with, which give us all that is required. So you just offer, okay, to share your gratitude towards those, and those gandhas which get generated through the fire. So there the sage says, Vaitanaha gandhaihi tumam pavayantu. So havyagandhaihi vaitanaha vanhayaha. So let those fires, by generating this gandha, may them purify you. Which means, so when you engage in this, or at least when you participate in that, so these kinds of things have the ability to purify your mind. Duritam is essentially this only. You need not go. You need not go and behave like a criminal. Even being here, by thinking that you are too clever and doing some sophisticated things, we perform a lot of duritas. That is what I was just sharing a few minutes ago. Havyagandhaihi. So this mental purification is required. But if you do not engage in any of these things, then you will only pick up more and more dirt. There are certain processes which are well established and which have been experienced by people to cleanse your mind, to purify your mind. So that is why in certain atmosphere we feel. So this is something which is an experience. It cannot be demonstrated by having some graph. Okay. So havyagandhaihi vaitanaha pavayantu, he says. So here samsara is durita nilaya. Okay. So for you to come out of it, so you may have to cultivate these kinds of habits. Okay. Samidvantaha pranta santirnadarbhaha. This is a beautiful verse. So where you see the kind of culture. The culture is to value everything around us and to offer something back to nature. And these things themselves have that very attitude. Okay, so themselves have the ability to purify. So now durita nilaye samsare dukkha janake, and it is essentially this duritam which leads to dukkha. We have to be very clear about it. Okay, so durasha bhuyishthe, which keeps us do all kinds of things, and which is never ending, and which creates certain durita, which leads to dukkha. So all these adjectives are very beautiful adjectives to samsara, where one leads to the other. Dukkha janake. Now he says, madayasam kim navyapanayasi. So, kasyopakritaye. This is something again which is very beautiful. Here he says, mad ayasam. Ayasa is the kind of fatigue, pain that I am experiencing. Navyapanayasi. So he is talking to Parameshwara. Navyapanayasi. If you are not going to eradicate this, okay, put an end to this. Madayasam kim navyapanayasi. One thing is, you can ask this as a question. Okay. Madayasam kim navyapanayasi. Why are you not? Okay. Kutaha ityasmin arthe. Okay. Madayasam kutaha navyapanayasi. Then suppose you assume that Parameshwara says kasyopakritaye. See, this word kasya can be understood in two ways. One is as a question. The other is kasyopakritaye. Means the word ka is a word which has multiple meanings. Okay. So, ka means sukham. Ka means water. Ka means so many other things. Ka also means Brahma. Ka also means Vishnu. Do you know? Eko naikasavah kahkim. Vishnu Sahasranama we have. Eko naikasavah kahkim etat padamanuttam. Eko naikasavah kahkim. We have the Sahasranama kasmai namaha. We have a usage. And even in Bhagavata we have the word ka used in the sense of Brahma. I will give that verse. Okay. Evam yukta kritastasya. Evam yukta kritastasya. एवं युक्तकृतस्तस्य दैवं चावेक्षतस्तदा दैवं चावेक्षतस्तदा दैवं चावेक्षतस्तदा कस्य रूपमभूद्वेधा कस्य रूपमभूद्वेधा कस्य रूपमभूद्वेधा यत्कायमभिचक्षते यत्कायमभिचक्षते यत्कायमभिचक्षते. This is an interesting description there. I will not get into the description. But the point I wanted to convey here was kasya dvedha rupam abhut. Kasya means brahmanaha prajapatehe rupam dvedha bhavat. Yat kayam apichakshate. So which is what you call as kaya. Okay, this is what Bhagavata says. Anyway, kasya here refers to brahmanaha. Okay? So this kasya, suppose you take. So Shiva were to reply, kasyopakritaye, means in order to facilitate Brahma, okay, I am not taking away your ayasa. Madayasam kim navyapanayasi kasyopakritaye. Suppose he were to say, okay. So then it means that by pleasing someone he is happy, right? Parameshwara is happy. So because after all, Manushya is at a lower level, right? Brahma is at a higher level. He is a creator. So any person who is at the top, so has to first of all, so director means first he has to please the deans. Okay, if you and I go and make some complaint, if the dean says something, the director will always try to protect the dean rather than you and me. Generally that is what happens. So similarly, suppose Shiva were to say, see, after all I have given him some job, so if he has to put you into trouble, he has put you into trouble, so I cannot come on the way. Suppose he were to say, Vadeyam, now he says, Vadeyam pritischet tapashiva kritartha khaluvayam. So, ye pritischet vada. So, if this is what pleases you, you tell me, I will understand. Okay. We are anyway happy because ultimately I want to please you. If you are pleased by my suffering, then anyway I am pleased. So, this is fine with me. Absolutely. Vadeyam pritischet tava shiva kritartha khaluvayam. This is one way of see. The other way is to see, madayasam kim navyapanes kasyopakritaye madayasam kim navyapanes. Okay. So there are two ways of seeing. Okay. This kasyopakritaye can be put as a question. It need not be taken as an answer given by Shiva. Kasyopakritaye madayasam navyapanayasi. This is one way. The other way is madayasam kim navyapanayasi. Why are you not doing? Or are you trying to favor somebody? Understand? Kasyopakritaye madayasam navyapanayasi. Okay. So this is another way of seeing this. Okay. So this kasya can be either taken as a question, kasya can be taken as Brahma. Okay. So any which way, so here finally he says, if you were happy by putting me in this state, then I am also happy. I consider myself as a kritartha purusha. Okay. Kritartha vadeyam pritischet tava shiva kritartha khaluvayam. Okay. Now, we read the verse. Durasa bhuyishthe duradhipa grihadvarakhatake durante samsare duridanilaye dukkhajanake madayasam kim navyapanayasi kasyopakritaye vadeyam pritischet tava shiva kritartha khaluvayam. So this Kasyopakritaye, this is something which we can very easily understand. One is you just ask, why are you not doing? So this is assuming that you are not willing to do. Okay. So the other thing is, so you may be willing to do, but because of some external pressure, so you are not doing. So Kasyopakritaye, why are you not doing? Okay. So this is how one can understand this in 2-3 ways. Okay, this is anyway nice thing. Then the next verse. Sada mohatavyam
Sada mohatavyam
Sada mohatavyam Charati yuvatinam kuchagirau Charati yuvatinam kuchagirau Charati yuvatinam kuchagirau Natatyasha shakhasu Natatyasha shakhasu Natatyasha shakhasu Atati jhatiti svairamabhitaha Atati jhatiti svairamabhitaha Atati jhatiti svairamabhitaha Kapalin bhikshomi Kapalin bhikshomi Kapalin bhikshomi Hridayakapi matyanta chapalam Hridayakapi matyanta chapalam Hridayakapi matyanta chapalam Dridham bhaktya badhva Dridham bhaktya badhva Dridham bhaktya badhva Shiva bhavadadhinam kuru vibho Shiva bhavadadhinam kuru vibho Shiva bhavadadhinam kuru vibho. So here in this verse he is presenting his mind as a kapi. A kapi means monkey. Okay. Sada monkey, one of the characteristics of monkey is that it will not keep quiet. It is extremely difficult to make the monkey keep quiet. Okay. So atati means it keeps jumping. Here sometimes we feel if I jump from huge leap will be there from one branch to the other branch. Okay. So if you want to engage yourself for some time, then you have to see the activity of monkey. Okay. This I have seen from some places. Okay. It will be extremely difficult for us to comprehend why it does this. Just keep on. Sada mohatavyam charati. So here he says, this monkey Asha shakhasu atati. Okay. Natati, in fact. There are 2-3 verbs here. Okay. He says natati. Then he says atati. Okay. Then we have the word charati. See, charati in the first quarter of the verse. Then natati and atati in the second quarter of the verse. You also see the word giri and atavi. Atavi means forest. Giri is mountain. Okay. So there is a rupaka that is made here. Okay. Yuvatinam kuchagiravu. He says that giri is mountain. Yuvatinam kuchagiravu means young lady. So their breast is just described as giri. Okay. Yuvatinam kuchagiravu. He says sada charati. It keeps on moving there. Sada charati. What charati? Hridaya kapi. Understand? So here Hridaya is equated with kapi. Okay. So my mind is wandering there. And this is further stated as mohatavi. Mohatavi means it makes you deluded. Okay. Mohatavi. Atavi is forest. Okay. Mohatavyam charati. In fact, there is a very beautiful verse. This is to describe this as a delusion. So why is this charati? Thinking that it will give happiness, right? So there is a nice verse which puts three things together. One of them is this. Trisha shushyatyasyē. Shushyatyasyē. Trisha shushyatyasyē. Pibati salilam. Pibati salilam. Pibati salilam. Shita madhuram. Shita madhuram. Shita madhuram. Shudhartha shalyanam. Shudhartha shalyanam. Shudhartha shalyanam. Kavalayati. 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 Mamsadikalitam. 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 Pradipte kamagnau. Pradipte kamagnau. Pradipte kamagnau. Sudridhatara malingati vadhum. Sudridhatara malingati vadhum. Sudridhatara malingati vadhum. Pratikaram vyadhehe. Pratikaram vyadhehe. Pratikaram vyadhehe. Sukhamiti viparyasyati janaha. Sukhamiti viparyasyati janaha. Sukhamiti viparyasyati janaha. It's a beautiful verse. It says, when you are thirsty, okay, trisha shushyatyasyē, and the mouth is shushyati means getting dried up through thirst. Pibati salilam, okay, he takes shita madhuram. Then kshudhartaha, okay, when there are hunger pangs. Shalyannam kavalayati, okay, he eats some food. Then pradipte kamagnau, okay, when the fire in the form of kama starts burning, then you go and hug the other person. Okay. Sudridhatara malingati vadhum. Now the poet says, all these three things is pratikaram vyadhi. It is a remedial measure for, okay, so curing the disease. Okay. Pratikaram vyadhehe. This fellow, out of his delusion, thinks that this is a sukha. Okay. Pratikaram vyadhehe sukhamiti viparyasyati. Viparyasyati means he mistakes. So similarly here, mohatavyam charati. Okay. So it is just moving there. Sada mohatavyam charati yuvatinam kuchagirau. Then natatyasha shakhasu. So one is giri, and this is just like a forest, so which will delude you. Okay, once you enter there. Kuchagirau mohatavyam. See, this Kuchagirau, if you go, so you will get lost in Mohatavi. Moha Rupa Atavi. Okay. So in forest, when you actually go, so if it is a thick forest, then you will not know anything. Everywhere you will find only trees. Okay. You will be completely lost. So the path which you have to choose will not be known to you. So Ding Moha will happen. So that is how here he is describing. So once you are into that, then so you will lose your direction. Mohatavyam charati. So then further he says, Natatyasha shakhasu. Further what happens is, Asha shakhasu natati. So Asha Rupa Shakha means one Asha to the other Asha. Okay, so jumping from, okay, as the monkey jumps, from one branch to the other branch. So similarly, this Hridaya keeps jumping from one Asha to the other Asha. So first is Girau Charati, Atavyam Charati. There are various forms of delusions. You just get yourself lost. Then the third thing is Asha Kasu Natati. It keeps dancing. Then Atati Jhatiti. Jhatiti means very quickly. Swairam. Swairam means Yethechaya. Yethechaya means it doesn't take your permission. Just keeps jumping. Jhatiti Swairam Abhitaha. Abhitaha means everywhere. Okay. So there may be no connection between one thought and the other thought. It just keeps wandering. Atati Jhatiti Swairam Abhitaha. Now comes the poetic aspect. He says Kapalin. What does Kapalin mean? So Kapali is the one who possesses Kapala, right? So Kapala is Kam Palayati. Kam means here head. Understand? So that the skull is what is called Kapala. Okay. So the one which protects the head means that's basically the brain, etc. So that is called Kapala. The one who possesses that Kapala is Kapalin. So Parameshwara is a Bhikshu. So Bhikshu, one who keeps wandering with the Kapala. Okay. Kapalin Bhiksho. Now what Bhagavad Pada says is, you are anyway a beggar. Okay. So for you to draw the attention of people and give you some money, it is better you carry a monkey with you. And my mind is monkey. Okay. So you better tie this monkey. How do you tie? He says Bhaktya Badhva. Okay. This monkey may try to escape from you also. Therefore he says Dridham Badhva. Okay. Dridham Bhaktya Badhva. Okay. So may you firmly tie this monkey with you. Okay. Now it is a win-win situation. So it is under your control. Okay. I am also saved. You will also be benefited. Okay, in getting more bhiksha, because you can attract more people. Kapalin bhiksho me hridaya kapim. He says atyanta chapalam. Okay, atyanta chapala is this fellow. Okay, dridham bhaktya badhva shiva bhavadadhinam kuru vibho. Bhavadadhinam kuru. So may this monkey be kept under your control. This bhaktya badhva. What is this bhakti? So there is a nice definition. In Vedanta, we start with Athato Brahma Jijnasa, right? Mimamsa we start with Atato Dharma Jignasa. Now, Bhakti, there is a interesting sutra. Okay. So here, Atato Bhakti Jignasa. Okay, there is a Shandilya Sutra. Okay, you repeat that. Athato Bhakti Jignasa.
Athato Bhakti Jignasa. Athato Bhakti Jignasa.
Sa Paranuraktirishvare.
Sa
Paranuraktirishvare. Sa Paranuraktirishvare. Ishvare Para Anuraktihi. Okay. So Para Anuraktihi means supreme, okay, attachment. Para Anurakti, okay, which cannot be severed. So this is what is Bhakti. Sa Para Anurakti Ishvare. This is what Bhakti. And this Para Anurakti is something which does not happen from my side. Okay? And therefore you have to do this. So this is what he is saying. Dridham Bhaktya Badhva Shiva Bhavad Adhinam Kuru. Adhinam kam kuru hridaya kapim. Mama hridaya kapim bhavad adhinam kuru. In fact, there is a nice verse which clarifies it much better. I think it is in Vishnu Purana. You repeat this verse also. Ya pritiravivekanam. Ya pritiravivekanam. Ya pritiravivekanam. Vishayeshvanapayini. 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 Tvamanusmaratasami. 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 Hridayanmapasarpatu. 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 This verse I am just saying because whatever is stated in the sutra, Paranuraktihi, so this is much more easily understood through the example that he has provided. Ya pritihi avivekanam vishayeshu. Vishayeshu means one after the other thing. Okay. Whatever people have, ya pritihi avivekanam vishayeshu anapayini means perennially, okay, that is there. Tvam anusmarataha sami. Sa means priti. Understand? Here he has used the word anuraktihi. Here he uses the word priti. Okay. So ya priti avivekanam vishayeshvanapayini. Tvam anusmarataha sami hridayat ma apasarpatu. Okay. Hridayat ma apasarpatu. Ma apasarpatu means may it not go away. This is what Acharya tries to say. Hridayakapim bhaktya badhva. Hridayakapim bhaktya badhva bhavadadhinam kuru. Okay. So this bhakti is described as the thread which has to not sever. Understand? Once it severs, gone. Okay. So this should be there, maintained with Ishvara. So that is what this idea is. Instead of letting it wander everywhere, so may this bhakti be the connecting thread with the Ishvara, which never severs. Let us read the verse. Sada mohataviyam chakati yuvatinam kuchagirau natatyakashakha svatati chaditi svairamabhitaha kapalin bhiksho me hridayakapimatyantachakalam dridham bhaktya badhva Shiva Bhavadadhinam Guru Vibho. Okay, we'll stop here. Om Sarve Vasikinas Santu Sarve Santaniramayaha Sarve चित्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित्